got your voter pamphlet. That just is Cedric Hayden.
Thank you. Yeah, Alex, thank you for being here. So I'm Cedric Hayden, State Representative for House District 7, and I really want to say thank you for these events. This is the third one that I've been invited to in 4 years, and so keep them coming. I like to come out and meet folks. I have knocked on many, many of the doors up and down this driveways and throwaways and Highway 126, but it's just the third event that I've been invited to come up here and speak with folks like you, so I really appreciate that. There's a lot of political stuff going on, but since I've only been up here 3 times, I want to kind of introduce you to who I am and where I've come from. That starts back in March 23 of 1853. Some people got into their wagons and they left their towns in Indiana and they hit the trail for Oregon. This wagon train progressed to where in September they reached Oregon. They got there and they were paying for potatoes at 10 cents a pound and they were paying for butter at 25 cents a pound. And it's interesting to read through those logs of what they did and why they wanted to come. And one of the things that really struck me, having been invited up to the McKenzie River to tour with the Oregon Land Trust and the McKenzie River Land Trust and see some of the great projects that they're doing. What they wanted to do back there, reading through some of their notes, is they wanted to go to Oregon for fertile lands, lofty forests, lush meadows, sparkling springs, and a healthy environment. That's still what we want today. That's still what we set out to do today. So those pioneers, those frontier pioneers, 7 generations ago, were how I got to Oregon. Those were my family line. Also in my family line, the first female mayor, I'm told, in Oregon was in Burns, Oregon. So politics is a little bit in the blood. Adventure is a little bit in the blood. And my father served in the state legislature for 7 terms from around this area, retired from that, retired from dentistry, and then I had the opportunity to go. Why did I go? My focus was very, very narrow. Never intended to follow my father into his footsteps, although I got a lot of practice as a teenager knocking on doors. He would always, after those 7 terms, I was out there knocking on doors. I can't tell you how many thousands and tens of thousands of doors I've knocked over those campaigns in my own. But I was very comfortable with going out and doing that. But I had an issue. My wife and I had set up a foundation to provide dental care in a setting that we could go to populations that were disadvantaged. Most of these towns were from timber economies that had fallen off, and I wanted to go there. We bought some property in a small town in District 7 and built these mobile dental containers. I was able to exit my corporate world that I was in the side of professional health and following my father's footsteps. He was a public health provider, MPH, Masters in Public Health, and he provided free health care and low-cost health care all around the world. I did a little different than that. I did my career, and then I wanted to do that in areas like this, in Oak Ridge. And to my shock, I found out that that wasn't allowed. They weren't going to allow, one town was like, well, we're going to be in the next sisters, so, Dr. Hayden, good idea, but we don't want that in our town. And another town said, we don't want that blight on our community. I thought, this is really unusual that we can't get the help that these people, and these weren't tax dollars, these were nonprofit dollars. And so I got involved with that. If I knew how it worked then, I would have just hired a lobbyist for this issue and had him go, but I didn't know how it worked, so I went up there and I got engaged. I got involved in, I got requested in the honor of being the Vice Chair of Healthcare, which is a healthcare committee that works with our Oregon Health Plan policy. And then also on the other side, I'm on the Joint Ways and Means, which is the budget for it. So for 4 years, I've been on that for 2 years and healthcare for 4 years. So a lot of my political stuff is around healthcare. And we need good quality access, particularly to rural healthcare. I've served on the Higher Education Committee. I've served on the Early Childhood and Development Committees. And we really need to work on our K-12 education system. Our K-12 education is some of the bottom in the nation. We're like 3rd to the lowest. We really need to improve that. Public safety is something, particularly in Lane County. We've gone from 20 detectives over the last few years, we're down to 4. So public safety is something that we need to concentrate and work on. And so there's a lot of political issues. I always stay after these events. I don't know right where I'm at with the 3 minutes. We're probably getting close. I always commit to staying after these events until they either shut the doors and kick us out or all your questions are answered. So I'll be happy to do that through the questions here or one-on-one. Thank you.
Or the donuts are gone.
Or the donuts.
So what do you say? How about this?